Hey YouTube, Happy New Year. This is Sean with Griffin RC Planes. So I was just going to give you an update what I've been up to this past week with RC. Not a whole lot. The weather has not been right. Once again, a 3-day weekend. Looking forward to going flying. Temperature wise, it was ideal. New Year's Eve and New Year's Day, it was 70 degrees, and that's unheard of here in Middle Tennessee. And with that heat came a lot of wind. And even though it was warm outside and rather sunny, it was windy. It was 10 to 15 miles an hour, gusting 20 to 25. So flying was completely out of the question. And then today, Sunday, the wind died down, but the temperature went down. It's now 28 degrees and snowing. So we've gone from 70 and sunny with wind to no wind and snow in 24 hours. Sorry, we're going to have to break into your regular scheduled programming. Newsflash, weather break. This is Sunday, January 2nd, 2022. Well, that'll take a little getting used to saying. I don't bounce checks anymore, so that won't be a problem. But this time yesterday, it was about 65 degrees. And here it is about 24 hours later, and it's snowing. I'd say 30 minutes ago, this was not here. There's enough to make a snowball that quick. Wow. Well, maybe we'll be doing videos tomorrow instead of work, huh? All right, back to your regular scheduled programming. That's just unreal. But hey, I noticed that this plane here, the Tower Hobbies Edge 540, has been on sale for the past few days, and probably a lot of you guys have got one. I've had this one for over a year, but I want to tell you about this motor mount. This is an adjustable motor mount by Great Plains. The one that comes with it is a wooden motor mount box that you put together and glue, and it works fine and does the job, just like it should if you get your measurements right the first time. And you're basically stuck with whatever motor you decide to use with this, because this is not adjustable. So let me show you what I came up with, and maybe this will help some of you guys out in the future. All right, the Tower Hobbies Edge 540. This plane was set up to either use a glow engine or electric. And what it comes with is this wooden brushless motor mount that you glue together. And it works just like it should if you get your measurements right the first time. Here in the instructions, it says that you need to get from your prop adapter back to the firewall 5 1/8 inch. Now, if you want to play with your thrust angle, you need to get all those measurements out first before you epoxy this together. And that's pretty tough to do. I didn't get it right the first time. That's how I ended up with this. And what's good about this is that it's adjustable with all these set screws. You can play with your thrust angles. I don't know if you've noticed a lot of your planes that the motor tilts down and to the right a little bit. You can make all that happen with this, with these thrust screws, or set screws rather. And if you change the size of your motor, it's bigger or shorter, you can make all those adjustments here. And that works out really good. This is the Great Plains size large, and they have a few different ones. I tried the medium first, and the holes that the motor screws to didn't work for this size motor. It was made for a smaller one. So you need to go with the large size. And the part number for that was GPMG 1260. It was about 25 bucks. And also, don't worry about the weight, because as you can see, I had to add weight as well. I've talked about these weights before. I think they're made for like Pinewood Derby cars. And these slots here make it where you bend them back and forth a little bit, and you can, take off weight pieces or break them in half to do what I did, how it's evenly on both sides. If you put them all on one side, the plane might fly on an angle or something. So I got a piece on both sides, plus I have a piece on the top here. So this might help you guys out. It's an adjustable motor mount by Great Plains. It's a size large, and it's not permanent like this one. You end up doing something with this plane. You're not flying it anymore, or heaven forbid you have a crash, and this survives it, and now you can use it in another one. Or if you did crash it and part of it bent, then you'd have the other part left to use on something else. So that's just another option. I checked into getting a replacement box, and I think it was about half the price of this one, and then I'd have another one-time shot. So that worked out really good. Plus I can play with all those angles, like we're just talking about, how a lot of the motors face down and to the right. You could change that a little bit. Just all stuff to play with. I enjoy working on these things just as much as I do flying them. So that's all part of the hobby. It's really neat. Well, here's the assembled product using that motor mount. And as you can see, I'm right on the money, and maybe a hair too close, but that's all adjustable now, right? And run a few screws down each side. Take all that into consideration when you're figuring out your center of gravity. And I'll show you what servos I'm using. Oh, it also had this built-in latch right here that broke on me a while back, and these screws here were kind of a bush fix, and I've left them ever since. The servos I'm using are the e-flite digital servos that come in like the Carbon Z Cub and stuff. They're 7145, EFLR 7145. Very good servos. I've had good luck with them. The only thing I've ever come across is that they're twitchy or jerky when the control surfaces are trying to find center. You'll see them flopping like that, and that's because the gears inside the servos are wearing out a little bit, and the potentiometer is having a hard time finding center. And you can buy replacement gears for these for $10 or something, and once you replace those, the twitchiness is gone. And this little blue flap right here is made out of a Tupperware bowl lid, and the reason that that's there is when you put the wings down, the servo wires go into the ailerons, plug in here to this Y connector, and they're just kind of laying in here. So I just put a little flap over it so that nothing would ever get tangled up. The wings go together, and then they kind of hook into this hole here, and then they lay down, and you run these two nylon bolts with this wooden plate on top, and then I just put a little piece of plastic, which happened to be a Tupperware container lid or something, lunch meat thing, and that took care of any concern with the wires getting tangled up into the control rods. And then the battery, it comes with just Velcro, and here's what I came up with. Is, like I said, I needed weight up front, so this is a battery tray or something made for an RC car. And if you can see in here, I put a couple bind nuts with a little rubber coating over the end, and that was shrink wrap. And I also put a piece of plastic on one end to space it away just the way I needed it. And what I use here is this first piece of Velcro. I put my battery on the tray and tighten this piece up, and then I run this tray into there on those little bind nuts. This is kind of tricky because of the camera and stuff, but normally it goes a little smoother. And then I lay it down in there, and then I run this Velcro around. That holds the tray to the floor here, and you can see the little pieces of wood here I've glued in place. on each side, plus this one right here, and that keeps it locked down just like so. So that's worked out for me for the battery. And then the lid slides on. This lays on top of the wings. This part right here is flush on top of the wing. And then, like I said, it had that latch right here with a spring that you pull back, and it locked into the lid here. But that broke, and this was a bush fix of just a couple screws, and I just left it. So I just take a screwdriver, a couple twists, and that's locked in. Take 45. All right, guys. Well, once again, Happy New Year. If you happen to pick up one of these Edge 540s made by Tower Hobbies, maybe this brushless motor mount will help you a little bit. And this time next week, maybe we'll get some flying in. If not, we'll have some more projects going on, and I'll give you guys an update next Sunday. But once again, if you guys have any ideas for videos or any questions, please leave them in the comments below. And please like and subscribe. That goes a long ways. And until next time, you'll see me here.